we are. You can see I never got out of my chair, right? So let's talk about what this is going to take. And this is more, this isn't a to-do list, but remember I mentioned it's going to take an attitude adjustment. Let's talk about an attitude adjustment. You got where you are because maybe you were just foolish and you don't know any better, but most guys in business are actually smart enough to not be genuinely foolish. I'm really going to call this out right now. This is, it's self-centeredness is what it is, right? And I don't love you any less, okay? But if you've been paying yourself first and letting the chips fall where they will, that's how you got here. And as long as you keep doing that, you're going to stay here. And if that works for you, then it works for you. But if you want out of it, I'm sorry to tell you that you're going to have to rearrange your priorities. And I am going to be bold enough to say, and this isn't a difference of opinion in I'm just saying it right out loud. Your priorities are wrong, okay? In a world full of relativism, there's a fellow telling you something's right and something's wrong. You can't put yourself first. Now, I do understand that we go into business for our purposes, not somebody else's purposes. You know, you woke up this morning for you and your family. It's true. But you have responsibilities. Before you get a paycheck, people you make promises to, you have to keep those promises. All right, so if you've been operating on, I was a supplier in many of my business years. And, I had lots of people that would make promises to me, and mostly well-intentioned promises. So believe me, a lot of people were really slick and playing me, and anyway, a little dance that went on all the time with that crap. It was kind of wearisome, to tell you the truth, but it didn't make them bad guys. And most of them actually believed their own lies. They really did. They, and if one of you fellows that I used to deal with are listening to me, hey, and you know that I'm calling you out right this second, if that was you, right? I loved you. I really did. But I'm telling you, it wasn't right. You put yourself first, and you didn't keep your promises. So it's going to take an attitude adjustment. All right, so what are those priorities? I actually had this on a different list, but I think right now is the time to mention what the priorities need to be. In your business, whatever the trouble is, your employees have to be paid first before anybody else. I was a supplier, but you know what? I'm telling you, you have to pay your employees first. Okay. Now, I am going to later on suggest that employees might be at the top of the list for trimming expenses, okay? But if you made a promise to an employee to pay them. They get paid first. All right, after that comes your suppliers and vendors. Now, I have noticed that there's two types of suppliers and vendors. There's the guy like me that was kind of easygoing and, doing the dance and believing some of the promises and hoping in false hopes. But anyway, there are these suppliers that you can get away with not paying for whatever reasons. Basically, they have more patience with you than these other folks. Now, let's talk about, there are suppliers that don't put up with any of that crap. They'll cut you off at the end of 20 days. And you know what? I notice that they do plenty of business. The guys just fall in line and do what they have to do. But, landlords, they have a pretty short fuse too. They're kind of like suppliers, but some a little elasticity, but not much. The people, bottom line on this is you pay the people that demand that they get paid. Right? And if you have been at the top of the list, wrong place to be. You got to go to the bottom of the list. You want to fix a business that's in trouble, put yourself at the bottom of the list, and we're going to get into all of that. Right? But change your priorities, and if you won't change your priorities, don't bother to listen to the rest of this stuff. It doesn't matter. But if you're willing to stop being you first, we can get you fixed up. Now, there are muddy waters sometimes. Okay, you're not in this all alone. Even if you're strictly sole proprietor, you may have a wife. Okay, you have a family. Okay, now everybody knows that kids have to eat first. You've got to keep a roof on everybody's head. Got that. So that also kind of comes first. And you have to balance all that stuff out. But, and I'm not going to get involved in the middle of that because that's way too big a dynamic. But I know that, if your children are going to starve to death and you don't have any other options, smash the window of the grocery store and go take the groceries, I am certain that you will always have other options. But, feeding your kids, everybody's got that. All right. But if you have been living pretty good and then all of a sudden you decide to fix your business, there's going to be austerity involved. You know austerity? That means tightening the belt. And that means that, I don't know, I know that I'm talking to a huge percentage of men here, so I'm going to say guys and their wives, but whatever your situation is. But, say you got a wife at home and your wife is very accustomed to, she gets her nails done all the time and she, drives a nice car. And this is the promise you made to your wife, kind of, right? Well, you're going to have to change that promise now. So you have muddy waters at home. You're going to have to get your wife, and you may have a business partner too. Business partner may need to get on board when you want to fix things. Will they get on board? I don't know. We'll see what kind of negotiator and salesman you really are now, won't we? But you're going to have to work that stuff out. But if you don't do the things that it takes to fix them, it won't get fixed, right? So you're going to have to finesse that situation. If they resist, my first suggestion is sell more and negotiate harder and all the rest. But if they say no, then you got three options. Do it in spite of them. Close up shop and say, hey, listen, we're all in the gutter now together. Or, go get a job at the post office, just go get a job. I can't remember what the third option is, but you're going to either have to make it work or roll it under. That's what you're going to have to do, okay? So let's get into some specific stuff in the next one. I think you have enough here. But right now, I can tell you, don't bother to go to the next thing if you're not willing to make that attitude adjustment. If it's you first from here on out, you're going to keep on getting what you get, okay? All right, see you for the next one. Bye. Hey friends, I hope this was useful to you. Would you do something for me? Would you please share this with anybody you know that ought to hear it too? And then, would you please give me the thumbs up and subscribe, right? That's kind of important on these things. Feel free to leave comments. All right, thanks a lot. And now get out there and do some winning.